Looks like some of you are still confused about what fuel to fill your ride with. Is the Android-powered receiver the best head unit for your Android phone? And what's the holdup on the development of a certain iOS app we're about to discuss? The answer to all those questions and more on CNET Roadside Assistant. This is episode number 47. Yes, for the 1st of March 2012. I'm Antoine Goodwin alongside Senior Editor Wayne Cunningham, and we got Mitchell Chang at the controls. So let's just kind of jump right into it. This first question has actually got me scratching my head a little bit. Comes in from Cody. He says, at the end of your most recent show, there was a comment made about electrolyzing and burning hydrogen. Here's some questions about efficiency aside. Would such a system allow for the burning of built-up gunk without the need to use detergents and or other fuel additives? If so, would it not be a worthwhile consideration for divisions more concerned with greenhouse numbers than horsepower, say the Prius, the Volt, or Volkswagen? As a side note, I have stood beside modern 200-plus mile gallon cars. 200-plus mile per gallon cars because they would not survive.
I think
What?
he's just saying that the whole 200 mile per gallon car thing, supposedly the theories, they wouldn't work in his local winter in Canada where things get very cold. And
he says they wouldn't be able to go up a hill.
Yeah.
So he says the biggest concern for some of these vehicles is the weight of the driver. Is an extra 10 pounds can change the efficiency. And as we all know,
yeah,
I get fatter every year.
Yeah, even the 40 mile per gallon cars, if you load them up with, a full 5 people, you might, because that's almost the weight of the car right there.
Right.
Or half the weight of the car anyway. That's a lot of stuff. So last week we talked a little bit about one of these systems where, and you find these mentioned online. Some people spam email you with them saying that you can add a hydrogen electrolyzer to your car. So you fill up a water tank, use the current from the car's generator to electrolyze the hydrogen, funnel that hydrogen into the fuel system, and you'll get better mileage. I don't think the math really works there, but Cody here is saying that wouldn't this work to clean up the gunk that builds up in your engine, carbon buildup, stuff like that? Whether it would or not, I don't think it's the most. I don't think it's probably a little complex. It's like floating swies with a shotgun.
Yeah. So it's like there's simpler ways to get rid of the gunk, is what you're saying.
Yeah. For example, I guess Shell oil or Shell gasoline, they've got some nitrogen enriched gasoline that they tout, supposed to clean up your car better. And in fact, all gasolines have detergents in them, and I don't think that seems like an easier solution than adding this whole apparatus to your car.
Right. It's kind of funny though, because these sort of technologies that you kind of see in those last 8 pages of like a car magazine, on those like just pages and pages of dumb ads for things like weather mats for your car.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just like something dumb like an electric supercharger. I remember when I was first starting to get into modifying cars, I'd see all these ads for like electric turbos, and it's just, the common knowledge was you stay away from those things because someone just bought like a bilge pump or something, and they basically bolt it up to your car and it doesn't do anything but actually impede the flow of air.
Yeah.
But then, now we start seeing that automakers are starting to take things like that seriously. Electric superchargers are possibly a thing that someone's developing. Hydrogen electrolysis is that sort of same thing for me. It's just like, oh yeah, sure. So you just add this thing to your car, right? And squirt some water into your intake, and all of a sudden everything's better. You've got an extra like 10 miles per gallon as a result of this. But I mean, there is some science behind it. I think that's interesting.
Well, there certainly is, and I would hope that the engineers, the scientists at the car companies that are looking for every way of making their cars more efficient have considered this at least. And if they have, hopefully they've done the math and said, will this actually work? I mean, if it was a silver bullet, I would assume they would implement it.
Yeah, they do it. I mean, who wouldn't want to be first to market with that?
Yeah.
But I think what's interesting is that the actual science is way more complicated often than the thing you find in the back of your magazine.
Oh yeah.
Those sort of like, water injection systems that you see in the magazine is just like a fish tank pump. And a nozzle that aerosolizes the water. Oh yeah, now you've got hydrogen, right? Because hydrogen's in water. It's 2 molecules in there, right? But then the actual science is a lot more complicated and probably a little bit beyond my journal is fine.
Yeah. Well, and as long as, cleaning out your car too, not only would you have to add the system to your car, or the car maker would have to add the system to the car, you'd also have to, along with filling up the gas, fill up your water tank
Right.
frequently to make sure there's enough hydrogen flowing through the system to make the system work. So do you really want to fill up an extra tank? Yeah.
Short answer to your question, Cody, no.
Yes.
Not yet, at the very least. There are definitely easier ways to go about doing it. So let's move on to the next question. This comes in from Cass, Bentington, Illinois. It says, hi, guys. I was wanting to know your opinion on a topic that doesn't focus on car tech so very much. And it says, do you think that people should use anything other than 87 octane fuel in a modern car? My opinion is that 87 octane is just fine for a V6 or smaller engine, and that higher octanes are good for V8s. With the way modern car engines are made this day and age, do you think you get any better performance or better miles per gallon using different grades of octanes? I just bought a 2012 V6 Dodge Challenger, by the way, and he also tells us to keep the great car tech coverage. First of all, I think your scale's a little off.
Yeah, you're basically wrong there, and assuming the number of cylinders has anything to do with the octane.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with displacement, everything to do with compression ratios. What happens is the higher octane fuel has what are called knock additives in it. And basically, they keep the fuel from pre-detonating under high compression. So what happens is as you compress anything, it gets hotter. So if you have an engine with like a really high, like 11-to-1 compression ratio, there's a chance that cheap fuel will actually detonate before it reaches full compression, and that's when you run into knock. And in a vehicle without a knock sensor or some sort of ability to adjust its timing, you run into issues where you can potentially damage the engine. So like a turbocharged engine that has like it crams a lot of air into the cylinder, or modern day like engines that have really high compression ratios. I can't think of any off the top of the head, but they get up to 11, almost 12-to-1 compression ratios. Most cars sit around 10 or 9.
Yeah.
I don't remember. But yeah, when you have cars that have really high compression ratios, that's where the higher octane fuel comes into play. The thing is, a lot of big dumb V8s and don't really have high compression ratios because they don't need it. They're big dumb V8s. So pouring like the really expensive fuel into like a 6 or 7 year old V8 engine is completely wasting your money.
Yeah, and even this the V6 Dodge has that's got the 3.5 I think it's a 3.5 liter V6. Is that the Pentastar?
Pentastar, yeah, the brand new one.
Yeah, the new Pentastar engine, and that's not a particularly high compression engine. That's a standard compression.
Right. My rule of thumb is that if you open the fuel tank and there's a thing that says use premium gas, you use the premium gas. I don't think many automakers will tell you to use more expensive gas if you didn't need it. The thing is, cars are smart enough that if you put in cheaper gas, it'll figure it out, but you'll cost yourself a little efficiency in doing so, because the system will have to run inefficiently. It'll probably retard its timing or whatever it has to do to keep itself from damaging itself on the cheaper fuel.
Yeah.
But so I would say there's sometimes if you just, you're not going to save more than like 30 cents on a fill up by about $1 on a fill up maybe by stepping down to the cheap fuel. But if your car doesn't require the expensive fuel, then you basically are wasting $1 by stepping up to the more expensive.
Right. Now the kind of cars that generally do require the higher octane fuel are, well, we just talked about a Ferrari in our previous show, which probably has very high compression. So you probably pretty much want to use racing fuel in that one. And cars that generally sport car type of things, if they're really generating a lot of horsepower out of smaller displacement, for example, or just trying to get a ton of horsepower out of those vehicles, then that's generally when you have higher compression and you want that better octane fuel. I think something like the but if you look at the modern Corvette, for example, I don't think that's a particularly high compression V8.
I don't think the modern Corvette even asks for premium fuel.
Yeah, I don't think it does either. It's a big V8.
Yeah,
they're getting away with a lot of displacement.
Like 20 liters or something. But yeah, it's a big engine, but it's like a big push rod engine. The technology in that's really old.
Yeah.
So it's like they're kind of getting away with using the old school formula of just we'll just add more displacement, dump more fuel into it, and that'll make it more powerful.
Yeah.
As opposed to shrinking the engine down or adding turbocharging or basically I think the tolerances on extremely high compression engines are kind of are a bit more precise than you would on like a big engine with low compression. So it's more expensive to kind of build that into cars, and so I think automakers are kind of just starting to come around to it. But even then, a lot of those engines still don't ask for the premium fuel. I think is it Hyundai or one of the Hyundais has a pretty high compression on the Veloster Turbo doesn't ask for premium, does it? Not the Veloster Turbo, the Genesis
right.
Genesis Turbo. I don't know if the Genesis Turbo asks for premium. If not, they definitely have two different ratings for premium and for cheap fuel to give you the option.
Yeah. I think, with Hyundai and Kia trying to sell a lower price car, they're probably not really going to try to make you buy premium gas because that's going to sort of go against the whole theme of the car. But you look at something like a Porsche where they're 3.8 liters and they're getting massive 400 horsepower out of that. Mm-hmm. Certainly you're going to want to use high octane in that.
Yeah, the Genesis gives two different, so it can run on cheap fuel.
Yeah,
but then it can also run on premium. And if you're buying a Porsche, then just getting the expensive fuel is basically another way to show that you're richer than everyone else at the gas station. So Go ahead and pick up that gold pump. Actually, have someone else do it for you. Pay someone else to pump it for you. If you're in a Porsche, no self-service. So I guess we spent enough time on that question. I really hope that answered it. What else have we got here?
Keith actually wrote us about the Ion Road app that you reviewed recently, or was it so recently? I guess
it was late last year, so not too long ago.
Late last year, yeah. And so this is Keith is complaining that Ion Road that it should be they're working on it for the iPhone. They only had it for the Android when you reviewed it.
And there's a sign up sheet on their website that says like sign up to know when the iPhone version comes out. But
so Keith goes on a rant talking about the iPhone version of this. Says it has been in development according to the website for at least several months now. It seems definitely for at least the last 4 to 6 months. It can't be that difficult converting the software code from Android to Apple, can it?
If it's not, by all means, Keith, do it. No, you'll get the iOS version of Ion Road as soon as we get our Android version of Instagram. They're very different. Like software, conversion isn't really what you'd call easy. There are also probably a couple of things that they're having to deal with. I mean, the iOS does let you do multitasking, but it's not exactly the same kind of multitasking as you would have on the Android. So doing something like running this app in the background is probably proving tricky to the developers. But there are, I think, there are other apps that'll do a similar thing. If you don't like Ion Road, I think there's a DriveMate app, DriveMate Rec. I think I may have talked about it before, but I think their full version has some sort of a recorder that'll let you see what's going on with the vehicle in front of you. Here we go. Is this it?
And so this is an iPhone app that will...
I saw it running on a JVC receiver. There it is, DriveMate Safety Cam.
Okay, and this gives you a warning if you're about to hit somebody.
Right. So if you can't wait for Ion Road, DriveMate Safety Cam, DriveMate one word, Safety Cam one word, available in the iTunes store. It does the same thing. It watches the road ahead of you for vehicles. It lets you know how much distance you have between you and them, and it gives you a warning if you get too close. It also has this very weird-looking Tron-like interface. I'm going to drop the link in the show notes right now because it just popped into my head.
All right.
I just dropped it into the wrong field.
Now we have another question. Now this is I guess we answered that one. This next question is from Chicago Engineer. That's how he signs himself. So I think engineers are the kind of people that want to know about car technology. He says, I have a 2004 IS300 Lexus, and I'd like to be upgrading my stock radio system. I have a Droid X and an Asus Transformer 1 that I can't live without, and would like my car to be my third Android device. Here are the few apps I would like my stereo to run: Pandora, Google Map, Internet radio apps, Dogcatcher, etc. I'm considering the Parrot Asteroid or App Radio 2, pending a review. Are there anything else available aside from these two units? Anything upcoming this year? Anything like TomTom or Garmin that have Pandora-like apps?
Well, here's the thing. For App Radio 2, first of all, it's not powered by Android. It just lets you use the what is the mirror link sort of functionality that you can get on an Android device. And the Asteroid is crap. Like, I've learned that over the last couple of weeks since I've done that review, and I'm actually thinking about going back and updating it. It's still in the Aveo. I've still had it in there, and I've had to deal with it for a number of weeks, at least any week that I wasn't reviewing a regular car. And if you've already got a perfectly good smartphone, it doesn't do anything that your phone doesn't already do. All you really need is a cradle and a Bluetooth stereo, and you're fine. The screen's smaller than the one on your Android device. The Google Maps sucks. It doesn't really have any sort of like streaming apps outside of the one that it has on there. But I mean, the ones that are on your phone do exactly the same thing. I would say don't even bother trying to find an Android-powered car stereo. If you love your Droid X and you've got all these apps that you already really love to use, just use your phone. So find yourself a Bluetooth a car stereo that supports Bluetooth AWP for about $150. Save the extra $250 you would have spent on the the Parrot Asteroid, or even on the app radio too, if you don't really need a gigantic screen. And do something else with it.
Yeah, I would suggest, as far as this car goes, along with the new head unit that has the Bluetooth A2DP, is get a good clip for the phone, something maybe mounted on the dash.
Yeah.
So you can easily slide your phone. You jump in the car, you slide your phone in that clip, the cradle, and you're ready to go.
Yeah. So because he goes on and he starts talking about things like because the Asteroid requires that you plug in a 3G dongle or something, that you get like a clear 4G and leave it in your car. You can't tether the phone. I tried it every other way, so the connection that's in your phone is useless at that point. So now you're dealing with like a completely separate data plan. You don't want to deal with any of that. Just find yourself a nice single DIN Bluetooth enabled car stereo, something in maybe Sony or Pioneer's lineup. Alpine, I don't think a lot of their models have Bluetooth built into it just yet, but I have to double check that. And then just save the money. Suction cup your phone to your dashboard if that's what you got to do, and just you'll be way happier than you will be struggling with the Asteroid. And I mean, I haven't tested the app radio 2 yet, so I can't really speak on that.
All right. Matt actually writes us about, he says he recently purchased a 2010 Jeep Wrangler Sahara with the Infinity sound system. He's wanting to upgrade to something that will offer better iPhone connectivity. So this must mean the head unit, not so much the speakers or anything. He's not particularly interested in added connectivity with the phone, although it would be a nice bonus. More concerned with playing music and charging the phone. Would like to keep the cost under $300. What can we suggest that will not require too many modifications?
$300. The first thing that pops into my head is if you don't really care about anything else, charging the phone, playing music, you don't particularly care about making phone calls. Where would I go? Alpine IDAX 305. It doesn't have a CD player. I don't know if you have CDs laying around. You'd lose your CD player in that case. But then there's also the Sony Tune Tray units that are also really good. Again, Mac free, so you don't have a CD player. I don't know if he needs a CD player or not.
Well, I'm looking at a photo of the Jeep here, and it's got a standard double DIN spot.
$300 price point means you're not getting a screen, so you're sticking with a single DIN unit.
Right, so you need a single DIN and one of those adapter brackets that gives you a little pocket or something underneath it.
Yeah, it'll be like $50.
Yeah.
For less than that even. I think I've seen the market and that's fallen out so much. I think you can get like a car kit for like $25 now. The wiring harness is like $7. You can do it yourself.
Right, so
Wrangler, it can't be that hard.
Yeah, search around Crutchfield. There's so many options that you could get a good iPhone connectivity. I mean, that's pretty much standard these days with the aftermarket head units.
Yeah, I mean, I would say find something that if you go with one of the Sony units, their MEX line that has Bluetooth built into it, you get iPhone connectivity, you get Bluetooth, so you'll be able to make calls even if you don't want to. You never know. Like you make it like a new girlfriend, and she might like to talk on the phone all the time. You just put her on speakerphone and hit mute, and just.
What I would also suggest too is get the Bluetooth audio streaming system, because again, it's not going to run you more than $300.
Right.
And what you'll find is, what I found is driving a lot of cars is, sure, I can hook my iPhone up to a cable in the car and get all that the control via the head unit, which is nice, but it's just so much easier. After a while, you can just kind of get over it, and you just want to jump in the car, you got some music already, have your iPhone playing random or whatever. And if the Bluetooth streaming is all hooked up, Bluetooth audio streaming, you jump in and the music's playing already, and you're listening to all your favorite music anyway that's already on the phone.
Well, you don't get to like play with the knobs. So you'd have to actually touch your phone if you decided this music sucks. And I want a completely different playlist. You have to actually touch your phone. But the advantage to making sure that you have Bluetooth streaming built in is that, next year when the iPhone 5 comes out and they switch over from the 30-pin dock connector to something, there's like one weird rumor that they're going to ditch the 30-pin dock connector. Well, you just switch over to Bluetooth then. Now you're using Bluetooth. If you decide to jump to Android or Windows Mobile or BlackBerry, you can still do that. Anybody who gets into your car can just pair up and start listening. So you have an option, even though you don't necessarily need it. And I'm pretty sure it wouldn't cost you any more than like an extra $20 on top of one that didn't have it.
So, quick lightning round here. What brand would you go with? Sony, Alpine?
I would probably go for under the $300 price point. I like the Sony. I like their Tune Tray units.
Mm-hmm.
And I also like their MEX BT units. But again, it would really depend on whether you wanted a CD player or not, which one of those you go with.
Yeah. I think if you got the iPhone and you're playing music off of it, you don't really want a CD player anymore.
Nope. But it's always nice to have.
Yeah.
And we got one more email that, I don't know, is kind of more of a correction than a question. It says, I was listening to your latest roadside assistance and I heard you mention a listener who thought he thought he had his Ford transmission reprogrammed. He said he checked the Ford website and saw that it was listed there or something to that effect, and you theorized that it was a sync upgrade and he was on the Sync My Ride website. What he's actually talking about is the Ford owner section of their website that lists all of the dealer-performed service to a car based on the car's VIN number linked to an account the owners can create. His 2008 Mercury Milan is the same way. Good choice, by the way. And anytime you take it to the dealer, they enter the service info, even if it's just an oil change, you can view it online. It's like a mini Carfax format that allows you to manually enter any service if you go away from the dealer. And he also talks about that service letting you schedule maintenance based on mileage, et cetera, et cetera. He just wanted to make sure that we weren't confusing that with a Sync My Ride website. So I didn't even know that was there.
That's a cool feature, actually, and nice to see. And this is something certainly when we're reviewing cars, it's not an issue we often have cause to look into or deal with. But I mean, and I'm sure other companies are onto this, that because partly if you have your car registered with the dealer and every service update they do or upgrade they do goes onto this website, then they can have these appointments and say like, hey, you should bring your car in, get some, pay us some more money.
Yes, it's about time for that $75 oil change, isn't it?
Exactly. And it is a way that dealers use to maintain or, keep customers.
Right. But I mean, it also, I'm sure it helps the resale value of the car. It's basically the electronic equivalent of that notebook my dad told me to keep in the glove compartment of every car that I've owned, where it's just like, if you change the oil, you write it in the book. And it's always, everything's written in the book. And then when you go to sell the vehicle, you can say like, oh yeah, I've done all these things.
Right, you got the logbook right there, or the bundle of receipts every oil change you've done.
Yes.
Yeah.
But this is the electronic version of that. So if you've ever decided to sell your 08 Mercury Milan's the first thing's popping into my head, you can go like, oh, here's the VIN number. Go and you can see that it's had every scheduled, maintenance and update that it's supposed to have.
Yeah, and I like that. I like that they actually are keeping this online, keeping it in the cloud sort of thing where, you have all your maintenance records up there. Great.
I'm pretty sure other automakers do it. We just not something that we ever look at.
Yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't.
So that's it for this week's emails. If you've got a question, a comment, or if you just want to tell us we're awesome, you can send us an email at cartech@cnet.com. You can also leave us a voicemail. We don't have any this week, but we may have some next time. You can leave that at 866-401-CNET, 866-401-2638. That's a toll-free call. You can find the notes for this show if you wanted to check out any of the links or whatever, or even check out previous shows over at cartech.cnet.com. You can also follow the show on Twitter, CNET Cartech, one word, and you can follow the three presenters. Brian Cooley's Brian Cooley, BRINCOOLEY. Wayne is Way4N, WAY4NE. And I'm Antgoo, ANTGOO. And I guess the next time you hear from us, we'll be in Geneva.
Right.